Hello and welcome to the Product Biz Podcast. My name is Monica Little and I'm your host. And today we are talking about money mindset, a conversation that has been on the podcast a couple of times, but such an important conversation that I'm going to continue to bring experts on this topic because this is where I see so many small business owners struggling. Like you've heard me say before, some small business owners are doing the right things, doing all of the things, and they're still not seeing the sales that they want. And if that sounds like you, if you're wondering what's going on, there's two pieces of information that come to play. Number one, are you focusing on the right things? Are you going outside of your comfort zone? Are you doing what's required? If the answer to that is yes, and you're still not seeing results, what is your money mindset? And specifically in this episode, we have special guest Niki Ferguson, who will be talking about nervous system regulation and how that coincides with money mindset. So what that really means is your nervous system, how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you a perfectionist? Are you nitpicky? Are you checking your numbers? If that's Etsy views, if that's your bank account, if that's a number of likes, are you checking that every single day to the point that it may be something that we could call an addiction? Because I know people who do that, and also speaking from my own experience when I used to do that as well. If that is the type of nervous system state that you have, frantic, anxious, panicky, not trusting, then that's going to show up in your money. And once you start to learn how to balance your nervous system, once you learn how to balance your stress, once you learn how to trust that the sales are going to come in, the money's going to come in, you have more than enough coming in, and you just got to show up and do the due diligence, then you will see the actual sales come in. Now, I know this is a really hard concept for some people to grasp because it's not tangible in some cases. This is very much like soft skills. This is very much stress management, nervous system management. But if there's one thing you do, you have to trust me on this, that this will change your business, how you take care of yourself as a business owner in terms of your health, your mindset, your stress impacts your sales. Not only because you're more excited, and when you show up more excited, you're going to get more sales because people pick up on that energy, but also there's some energetic woo-woo stuff that goes on that you're actually going to attract the sales to you because you are aligning to the energetic frequency of money, which is joy, peace, abundance, trust, all of those great feelings. Now, if you're stuck in the feelings of anxiety, panic, stress, you're not at the feelings of joy, trust, peace, and that is where money lives. So you can see that there's a disconnect right there. So today we have Niki Ferguson, and I'm super excited to have her. She is a money wellness coach, and we're going to talk about regulating your nervous system, money management, what are the signs of a dysregulated nervous system, and why is it important to regulate your nervous system when it comes to money and business. And she's going to give you some great tools to get started, and it's just an amazing, amazing episode sharing from Niki all of her tips and tricks on how you can manage your nervous system to manage your money. All right, well, welcome, Niki, to the Product Biz Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you.
Yeah. This is going to be so fun. We met through our business coach, James Wedmore. We have the same business coach, and we were in Sedona for a day at an event a couple months ago, and we also were hanging out in Phoenix when you came here for the James Wedmore event. So super excited to now actually bring you onto the show to talk all about your nervous system and money management. This is going to be such a good conversation, but before we dive into some of those specifics, I would love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do and how you really got started in nervous system regulation, money management, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it seems like they don't go together, right? But they do. So yeah, I'm a money wellness coach now. So I help people with their money and then also regulating their nervous system. And I believe that they work symbiotically. Taking care of your money helps your nervous system. Taking care of your nervous system helps your money. So that's the end, but from the beginning, I started as just a money management coach, really hardcore into like the budgeting type stuff. Think Dave Ramsey, which I've very much strayed from that by now, but I had an accounting degree. I did that for a little while after college, and as I was working with clients, I found we would have budgets. We'd have beautiful budgets. I'd color code them. The numbers would match perfectly. But like they were just like numbers on a spreadsheet. And there was all this mindset stuff, all this junk we had in our heads about money, that were kind of like keeping us from following that like plan we had set up to make our future and our goals happen. So that's when I got into mindset stuff. And then later I took it a step further to nervous system regulation, which is really like working that energy out of your body, which number one, I took part in for myself because I was so much in my head about things, especially like sales when it comes to money. And I knew all the things. I'm like, I know this. People would coach me like, I know this, but like my body was not accepting it. And so like learning like nervous system regulation, breath work, allowing it to work out of the body. I know a lot of people have heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score. So that can tell you a little bit more about how our body just holds on to like feelings and stories and traumas and all this stuff that we think we've worked through in our minds, but are still kind of in there in the parts of the body. I don't know anatomy, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Oh my gosh, 100%. And I love what you said. It's so interesting because this nervous system plus money management, money mindset topic recently came up for me about like a month and a half ago, actually in Sedona when I was talking to Dania, because she mentioned that too. And for me, it was a light bulb moment. It's like, oh my gosh, when you manage your body and you manage your nervous system, then what is it? You're aligned with the frequency of money, or you just feel better, or you feel calm, or you're not as stressed, or whatever that may be. And I would love to get like your explanation and your viewpoint on that. But then that actually conspires for you to actually be more open to receive money. So it's this weird, there's this super weird link of your body to your actual finances. So tell me a little bit more on how that actually works. Is it like the frequency of money when you calm your nervous system? I know you mentioned breath work, but tell me a little bit more about what do you really mean by nervous system regulation? And then how does it actually work with money to impact that too?
Okay. I'm like, okay. So yes, frequency, money's energy, right? Like all of that's energy. And what you said that I'm thinking, what came up was being able to receive a lot of money. So a lot of things, some clients I saw were receiving large amounts of money and it would just be gone so quickly. And they're like, I don't even know what happened to that huge month I had. Like, where's that money gone? And there's something like our bodies and our brains will reject that if it doesn't feel safe. They're like, oh no, like we don't know what to do with this. This is not home. This is not comfortable. And our brains are really smart. Like their job is to keep us alive and keep us safe, not to keep us rich. That's not what our brains are here for. And they're evidence-seeking machines, so they look for what has kept us alive in the past. It's not been boatloads of money, right? It's been this even like steady whatever, paycheck or whatever, even the struggle. Some people are really comfortable in the struggle because that's what their body and their brain are used to and know that they are safe. So we really have to work our way up to feeling comfortable and feeling safe with larger amounts of money. And that does take a lot of mindset work and planning, like, what am I going to do with this money? Because when we have a plan, it's a little bit easier than getting $10,000 at once and then being like, I don't know what to do with this. You know? Yeah. So like having a plan, somewhere to put that and feeling more safe and more comfortable holding that money so that we don't, it's not like hot potato and we've got to get rid of it. I don't know what to do with this. We got to get, this is not us, you know? Yes. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And I love what you said about like safety and feeling safe. And there was the angle that you said, which is like, okay, someone makes a lot of money and then they don't know what to do with it. It's kind of like new territory, right? But then I think there's also the flip side of maybe someone who's not making a lot of money. and what they're focusing on is maybe, like you said, like the struggle, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
actually that feels safe to them because
Yeah.
that's what they've been doing for the last 10 years, is struggling with finances, struggling with finances, struggling with finances. So then when you think about doing something outside of your comfort zone or doing something to grow your business, and it's like, oh, red lights, alerts,
Yeah.
flashing, right? Like, this isn't
Yeah.
safe. This isn't normal. So I love how you mentioned safety, because I think that's such a big thing of, and that ties perfectly with what you said of actually regulating your nervous system, because that's truly when your body feels safe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, one question I have for you are, what are the signs of a dysregulated nervous system? Like, how do we know if maybe our nervous system just isn't aligned, is dysregulated, maybe it's going into this panic mode or something like that? What is that? How would you explain that?
So there are two ways you can be dysregulated. You can be hyper aroused and hypo aroused. So the hyper would be like very anxious, worried, perfectionist, like doing all the things, and a little bit, irritated, frustrated, having all those things come up. That would be like hyper. You're always in fix it mode, like, oh, I've got to fix this, instead of, even for other people, instead of just letting it be. A little bit of like people pleasing, like all those things are part of like being hyper aroused in your nervous system. Like there's too much. And then the other end is hypo, and that's just like very unfocused, no motivation, like depressed and like don't know what to do, very hopeless, the world is ending type place. And so you've got the up, you've got the down, and so we want to really meet in the middle of this state of like well-being, and where it's just perfect, this like
Yeah.
and I was like doing a video on this the other day, and I was like, think like cottage core. I think of like the peaceful, out in the trees, laying in a hammock, like that feels like regulation for me.
I love it.
And just being able to be, not being like I don't want to do anything, but just content with like where you are and how things are.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And I love how you said hyper is like perfectionism, maybe even like irritated, wanting to fix everything. And hypo is maybe just like more of that hopeless feeling and not very focused. And that middle ground is where we want to be. So,
Mm-hmm.
talk me through like a real life example. What does that middle ground look like on a daily basis? Is it just being okay with where your finances, the sales you do or don't have, trusting that everything's going to work out? Like, what does that middle ground actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think the one thing I say to people is like trusting your money to take care of you, but it's also you're trusting yourself so you can trust your money. And I talk to people about making friends with their money, and I know that's like a woo-woo kind of thing, but like when you start to have a relationship with your money, think of it like a friend. Like you're going to check on your friends every now and then and see how they're doing. And then you're going to be okay. You're not going to walk away and go, oh my gosh, uh, what did I say wrong? You know what I mean? Like maybe I did something wrong. Like think about that with your money. When you are dysregulated, you might think that about your friends, but when you're regulated, you're going to be like, oh, that was a great time. I'm glad we did that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And you know that friend is there. So the same thing with your money is like, the money's going to be there. And when you take care of your money takes care of you. So like when you have a plan for your money, you know where your money's going. You have things set up. You are spending time with it. You're not avoiding it. That's a lot of dysregulated. If you're dysregulated around your money, you'll avoid your money, or you'll check it like too much, like all the time. So it's having that trust. I know how much is in there. And you know that kind of because you've been taking care of it. You had that relationship. You know what's coming in. You know what's going out. And part of that is just knowing your numbers.
Yeah. 100%. And I love the two words that you said of either avoiding it or checking it too much. Because then I think that lines with like hyper nervous system regulation is probably checking it too
Mm-hmm.
much every single
Mm-hmm.
day. Where am I at? Where am I at? Where am
Yeah.
I at? Versus hypo is just avoiding it completely.
Yeah.
Of just like, okay, I don't even want to check my credit
Yeah.
cards. I don't want to check my bank account. And it's so funny because we can even open this conversation up more to just like business in general. Are you
Mm-hmm.
checking like your stats every single day? Are you checking your email? Did I get an order? Did I get an order?
Yeah.
I know some people specifically on Etsy, they check their visits and their views on a daily basis. Where are my visits? Where are my views? And that is totally like you're not trusting yourself,
Yes.
or you're trusting that the money's going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this constant checking. So what do you tell people who maybe are like realistically kind of struggling financially? Maybe they're not getting the sales that they want, or they're just having a hard time growing their business. So some of this can sometimes be hard for a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not making the sales that I want, but you're telling me to trust that everything is going to be okay. So what type of conversations do you have with that type of person who's maybe working through that? Is it just, hey, let's take care of your body, let's find ways to de-stress, and then, you know, the money will kind of come, let's work on you? Or what are your steps that you work with someone who's going through something like that?
So it's a little bit of both on that, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I, as coming from the money side, believe that it's okay to like take on something that's not your business. So maybe like a part-time job, something that's going to give you that peace of mind. Like, I have money, so I can relax when it comes to my business. Like, if I make a sale, that's great. We'll celebrate that. But I'm not solely relying on that and putting so much pressure on it. I always say that like our clients are not responsible for our like cost of living. Cost of living is not the right word, but like our level of living. Lifestyle. Yeah. They're not responsible for that. So like when we take that responsibility off of them and kind of give ourselves something, and it doesn't have to be forever, right? Maybe you are struggling and you are dysregulated and you're like, I don't know how to regulate myself so I can have money, and then I don't have money so I can't regulate myself. And it's like this never ending cycle. So like finding something, and maybe even it's just like freelance work. If you don't want to work outside the home, you get on Fiverr or whatever. But I think just having some sort of income that is a little bit more dependable in the beginning, when you don't care as much about it as you would your Etsy store, right? You don't care if you go to this work and, you know, nobody likes you, like whatever. So having something like you don't care about, it's a little bit detachment there. Taking the energy and the focus and the stress off of that business will often allow it to flow a little bit more easily, and come in because you're not as stressed about it. You can have fun with it. And I think that you can be more creative when you don't have that pressure to perform.
Yes. I think the pressure right there is like 100% what I see. I see so many people just put really unrealistic pressure and unrealistic expectations on themselves. And I'm all for having like really, really big goals, because I have really big goals. But if I don't hit them, I don't make it mean anything about me. I don't make it like, I don't have this pressure on myself that I have to do it right now. I just know where I'm going and where I want to be and the steps that I'm going to take to get there. So I love what you said of like, yeah, maybe that's a part-time job just to take the pressure off your business. I know for a lot of product business owners, they sell at like weekend markets for something like that too. And that's what I tell them. If you need that cash injection, if you need something to just bring some more funds into your business, cool. That's a perfect time to participate in a weekend market, to get a little bit of sales that come in to kind of hold you over while still making sure that you're working on these things, right? Because I think simultaneously you remove the pressure by getting this part-time job or participating in markets or doing something. But at the same time, you probably still want them to acknowledge and focus and work on their nervous system in some way to see what's underneath the hood there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what would that look like? How would someone actually start to regulate their nervous system? I know you mentioned breath work. Are there any other tools, or what do you recommend for someone who's like, okay, cool, I'm a little bit on the anxious side of this, perfectionism, irritated, trying to fix everything, checking my bank account every day. What are some like practical steps you would recommend for them to do?
Breath work is my holy grail. But also EFT tapping, taps into like energy meridians on your body, and you say it with affirmations if people don't know what it is. If you do, sorry. But that really helps you. Maybe there are some things that you don't believe, like some affirmations you want to make happen, and you say them and you're like, I don't believe this. But when we tap into those places, it allows our body to accept them a little bit more, and it moves that energy. We want our energy in our body to flow like a river, and sometimes it gets like slowed down with like debris. Think of like a pile of leaves in the middle. So we just want to clear those leaves out so it can flow freely. So breath work, EFT will do that. Hypnotherapy will do that. And if we just want to regulate our nervous systems, like going outside in the sunshine, if we want to get basic, simplistic, is so big. Moving your body, dancing, shaking it off. I love to shake it off. But anything like that, go out and do some grounding, take your shoes off, put your feet in the grass, and, sink your toes into the earth and really connect. We spend so much time on like electronics, like social media, our computers, that sometimes we just need to like connect with nature.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. And it's so crazy once you start to do these things, like you will notice how much less stressed you feel. Because even for myself, what I recently started doing is I took email off of my phone and I took Facebook off of my phone. A lot of my clients are in Facebook groups that I have, a lot of my members, but I told them, hey, I'm going to be in the Facebook group from Monday through Friday, which I check on my laptop. So I could delete Facebook off of my phone. I deleted email off of my phone because literally like things can wait until I'm on my computer actually checking my email. There's nothing that I do that's like a life or death situation that I need to be glued on my phone every single day. And I've never done that before in terms of deleting them off my phone. I just did it this last weekend, and I can't tell you how much better I felt from not having them on my phone. And now I didn't even think about them. I didn't even have like this connection, because before I'd be like, okay, I want to spend less time on my phone, so let me put my phone in another room. But then I would find myself going to that room to check my phone.
Yes,
like, oh my gosh, I still have this like energetic string like attached to it for some reason. But just the act of deleting it, that cord was like cut. I didn't even think about checking email. I didn't even think about checking Facebook. And I actually was able to truly de-stress and just lay by the pool or read a book without, checking my phone after every 5 pages. Yeah. So I love what you said of we spend so much time on electronics and you don't realize how much that stimulates you. You don't realize how much that stresses you out. You don't realize how much we gravitate towards checking it every 5 minutes. And once you actually do these things like deleting some apps that maybe we spend a little bit too much time on, it's like, oh, look at my body just starting to get calmer and calmer. And then I love the tools that you said, like hypnotherapy, EFT, breath work. Could you tell us a little bit more about breath work? Because I've done a couple of breath work sessions, but some people listening may not know what it is. So tell us more what it is from your definition.
Yeah, so breath work is to clear the leaves out of your metaphorical river, and I'm like, how do I describe breath work?
It's hard to explain. That was like a curveball question, because it's basically like breathing with certain lengths of time, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. You're only breathing, but it gives you this like energy, body. It gives you almost like a high. Like I say, breathing is like a drug. You get this like full body buzz and you're like, and it's just a release of all that energy inside you. And honestly, when you are doing breath work, you are a little bit hyperventilating, which is stimulating things to move. Sounds scary, but it's not. You're not like breathing in a bag, but you are like breathing much deeper than you would normally.
Yeah.
So it's moving things that don't normally move, that kind of have gotten sedentary. Like think of like a wine bottle, how stuff settles at the bottom, like we're shaking it up, we're getting it out. And that's really what breath work does in a nutshell. But the history of breath work is it's been used for thousands and thousands of years, and like so many cultures, even cultures that were not talking to each other, like they were continents away were doing it at the same time. So it's like really cool how this like historic connection, like everybody figured out, hey, this is good for us. Let's do this and make our lives better and feel better. So
yeah, I've participated in a couple sessions, and it's interesting because you're taking like really massive breaths through like your belly, through your chest. You're also kind of like increasing the speed or slowing down the speed. So it's like really fast breaths or really slow breaths or even holding breaths. And I love what you said for EFT hypnosis breath work. It just gets the energy that's stuck in your body, trapped in like that pile of leaves in the river, like you said, get it moving and really just get it either to be unblocked or get it like out of your system or just get it moving again. So it's not stagnant, staying in one spot. So it's so interesting how those different practices correlate to money and how it because everything that you've been saying is basically like how you feel, your nervous system, your emotions, if they're trapped, if they're fluid, how your literal body and stress feels impacts money. So tell me a little bit more about that. So why do you say regulation is so important when it comes to money and business? What's the connection there?
Yes. I want to add something on to the breath work really fast, and then you'll have to remind me that question. But we were talking about releasing all this energy, and I want to add that when you do breath work, sometimes you will just start crying, like just a release of emotions. Sometimes you will start laughing uncontrollably. You're like, I don't even know what's funny, but I'm laughing. So it does release these things, and you're like, I don't know, it's fine. But you really just have to go with it because that's what your body needs at that time. So
and I love that it's just like such an ancient thing that's been used for so long. I mean, that's one of my biggest things is if it's been used for thousands of years, like you said, there's a reason that people do it.
Yeah.
And for me too, it's always been, for me, it's usually crying, but it's like releasing limiting beliefs. Whenever I do breath work afterwards, I'm like, I can do anything I want to. And I'm just crying those emotions of holding myself back, playing small, thinking I can't do it. So whenever I do breath work, all of that is released. And then it's just like, I can do freaking anything. Like, let's get that ball rolling. Let's see what we can do. So I haven't laughed though. That hasn't come up when I've done breath work, which is fun.
Well, I've been in classes where it's part of it. So let me just say that. So, and that was part of my training. So
cool.
It's really cool. Okay. Awesome. Repeat that last question.
Yes. So why do you recommend regulating your nervous system and things like that when it comes to money and business? Like, what's the link there?
I think because we can make decisions that are coming from a more grounded place. We're not frantic. We're not stressed or anxious. It's like, this is the best decision. And I know, and 3 years from now, I'm going to be thankful that I made this. You're not kind of making an impulsive, like in the moment, panicked, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this because this is going to happen. So that's part of it. And then also, like, when we are in sales, anybody who has a business, you're in sales, I know. You are more magnetic when you're grounded. People are more like attracted to you and what you're selling and what you have when you are calming. You just have a different presence about you, a different energy, that when you're dysregulated can feel a little like people co-regulate. So like when two people are talking, like you and I are talking right now, we're co-regulating. Like if one of us were like, "Wah!" it would make the other one feel a little bit like, okay. So when you are selling, you want the other person to feel calm and grounded. You don't want them to feel your frantic, nervous, desperate energy. You want them to feel confidence. When you are feeling confident in what you are, what you have, what you're offering, and who you are, it just kind of like shares and spreads to them. And I mean, that's really how you want people to feel when they talk to you or interact with you.
Yeah. And this reminds me too, what you just said. I had an episode with Catherine Beck, who was a voice coach, and she mentioned how when you're speaking on your Instagram stories or doing an Instagram video, people pick up on all the subconscious stuff that's going on. So if you're talking about your products and you're anxious about making money because you haven't made any money this week, exactly what you just said, that shows up in your voice. So when you
Yeah.
show up on your stories talking about your products and it's actually from a place of being grounded and confident and trusting that what's meant to be is going to happen, and you're just focusing on yourself and serving your customers, and you have that grounded point of view, total game changer. And people pick up on
Yeah.
that like crazy, which
Yeah.
was something very mind-blowing when I started to dive into that topic of conversation too. Like, okay, cool. It's not just saying the right things, it's actually showing up. Because you can say the right things, but if you, like you said, you're frantic, you're frazzled, you can
Mm-hmm.
say the perfect thing, but if that energy is off, people just
Yeah.
subconsciously are not going to be drawn to purchase from you. But if you're saying it from a place of confidence, like you said, of trust, of being grounded, then people are actually going to be drawn to you. So love that example that you shared. I think that's so
Yeah.
perfect. Love it. Okay, cool. So, how can someone get started? We've talked about some really awesome things, and I know you work with people too on some of these topics. So, tell me more about how someone can get started.
So the best way to get started with regulating your nervous system with your money is taking a look at it. If you are one of those people who like avoid money, like start taking a look at it. That doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. Just see, okay, here's where my accounts are now. And that's starting to know your numbers, which is a huge part of it, is just knowing what's coming in, what's going out, without being like obsessive about it, right? Like we talked about checking daily. So just getting to know your numbers is so huge. Taking a walk outside to regulate your nervous system. Check out breathwork. There are a lot of free online. A lot of people that I know do online breathwork sessions for free. So you could check that out if you feel like you have some things going on. EFT, doing some tapping, all of these things that you can start like today. So those would be the things that I would start with if I were you and you're like, okay, I'm brand new. This all feels a little bit overwhelming. What's one thing I can do? So, start with one of
Love
those.
it. Love it. And super accessible things too, like going outside. Cool. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Looking up breathwork online. Cool. Easy. So, love how simple and straightforward it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love that so much. Okay, so before we wrap up today, would love to have you share where people can find you, what programs you offer, how people can work with you. So share us all those amazing details.
Amazing. Okay. You can find me mostly on Instagram. I am at wildly_worthy. I'm there all the time, or you can go to my website, nikiferguson.com. Niki has 1K. And I have a money mindset archetype quiz that you can take for free. It's going to give you a little guidebook on how to supercharge your money mindset and some like tips and tricks according to whatever mindset you have, like what's the best next step for you. And that's really, it takes 2 minutes to take that quiz. So I love to share that with people. I work one-on-one. If you would like some help with this, I do one-on-one coaching, and I'm going to have a group starting soon, but I don't know when yet, but it is on the horizon. So just message me on Instagram and we can talk about it.
Oh my gosh, love it so much. And I'm going to make sure to link all of those amazing resources in the show notes so people can find it. And I'm going to take your archetype quiz too, because I want to see
Yay!
what comes up so I can learn a little bit more, see where I have room to grow. So thank you so much, Niki. This was such an awesome conversation. Loved hearing your insights in terms of nervous system regulation, how to tell if you're dysregulated, and where to really get started and how it coincides with business and money. So thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing insights and for being a guest here on the Product Biz Podcast.
Thank you for having me.